Hi everyone, my name is Maryam Ahmed and I am a sophomore at Goucher College in Towson, Maryland. As a multilingual child of immigrants and a writing center tutor, I have witnessed firsthand how academia overlooks countless multilingual students that have accents, speak in broken English, and/or make grammatical and verbal or written pronunciation errors. And while in recent years academia has been making progress towards a more equitable model for linguistic justice, the field of writing center theory and practice has been making strides in this area. Scholars such as Sarah Nakamaru have provided practical advice on how to tutor multilingual students, capitalizing on the strengths they bring to a session rather than approaching them from a deficit model. For this research, I asked, how do Writing Center tutors at Goucher College transfer the knowledge they receive in training about tutoring multilingual students to their sessions, and what areas do they need more support in and why? In order to measure the current effectiveness of Goucher's Writing Center in supporting multilingual students and to see what changes should be made, I surveyed the tutors in Goucher College's Writing Center in the spring of 2020. Because these tutors have had to directly interact and work with multilingual students, they have more background knowledge to accurately answer questions about the current situation in the Writing Center. Though the data I gathered in my survey was helpful in the realm of my research, I decided to interview Goucher College Writing Center tutors who have had more than a year of experience tutoring for more personal and specific experiences this spring. All tutors were asked what kinds of notable successes and challenges they have had to face with multilingual students and what the main issues multilingual students came to the Writing Center seeking help for were. They were also asked if their tutoring training was sufficient enough to help multilingual students and what changes they would make to improve how the Writing Center approaches sessions with multilingual tutees. From the results, I saw that every tutor had experienced both successes and challenges in the Writing Center. The most prevalent challenge was the presence of a language barrier. In the case of an unknown word, the tutor would try to equate the word with the universal experience so the tutee could understand what it meant. Accompanying this challenge was the difficulty in explaining some grammatical concepts in English to a tutee. There are some rules of grammar that native English speakers simply know to be true, but do not have a real academic explanation of. One tutee described the difficulty of explaining grammatical concepts without just relying on the instinct that something sounds good, because while this might fix a grammatical error in one area, the tutee's knowledge of grammar is not improved and they could make the same mistake again later, continuing the cycle of a professor sending a student to the center to fix their grammar, only for students to not have truly grasped the concept. Some tutors noted that tutees also seem to struggle with multitasking during a session, having trouble thinking, speaking, and typing in a different language. However, tutors found success in solving all of these issues by asking the tutee to simply speak and get their ideas out while the tutors took notes. This way, the tutee was able to focus solely on identifying and unraveling their thoughts. Success also came from leading a session with empathy and being personable and relatable, as it reassured tutees that they weren't the only ones who struggle with their writing. According to the data collected from our tutors, the main reasons for which multilingual students came to the Writing Center were grammar, lack of understanding of course content and/or the assignment, and a lack of confidence in writing. It is understandable that students who are not as familiar with English are insecure of judgments that can be made by others in the case of grammatical errors. However, as one tutor explained it, when tutees only focus on grammar without looking holistically at the work or do not have an interest in learning some rules to improve their writing for future works, it takes away from the overall experience of a session at the Writing Center. Tutors also wish that they could explain to multilingual tutees that though they might put a heavy focus on grammar in their writing, academic writing conventions, open quote, are important to follow in order to succeed in American academia, but honoring one's own linguistic background and unique voice is important and makes writing a lot more interesting too, end quote. Some tutees also suffered from lack of confidence in their writing and difficulty with understanding their professor's instructions and requirements. One tutor described how professors seemed to assume all students had a classical American education and came from similar educational backgrounds. Tutors then explained that what multilingual tutees need are encouragement, reassurance, and patience from their instructors and tutors to build more confidence. When describing a success story with a multilingual tutee, a tutor described how grateful and pleased the tutee was when the tutor remained patient in their explanation of a concept, as the student was used to people just giving up on them rather than taking the extra time to reevaluate the situation and take a different approach. Another explained how, open quote, it is necessary to change my way of explaining things rather than assuming that the student knows what I'm talking about, and to pause the session and make sure that what we are discussing makes sense to them, end quote. Overall, the tutees found their tutor training to be helpful, but they did have a few suggestions on how to better prepare tutors for sessions with multilingual students and on how to improve the Writing Center as a whole to better accommodate multilingual students. The wide consensus was that though the study of theory and the incorporation of readings into the curriculum were helpful, they do not truly equate to the experience of a session itself. However, it was also acknowledged that training can only do so much, as tutoring situations are different and tutors have learned to adapt to each unique situation. One tutor expressed that there should be more shadowing opportunities in addition to the weekly shadowing that tutors in training do to help expose them to sessions and better prepare them. Additionally, tutors should always be reminded to adjust the session to the needs of the tutee, and that while there isn't a specific strategy to use with multilingual tutees, leading a session with empathy and flexibility will create a welcome atmosphere for the tutee. Many of the strategies tutors use for sessions with multilingual tutees work because they created an environment of comfort and acceptance for the tutee. For example, tutors can offer to write down the ideas a tutee has while they work through them out loud so that the tutee can focus solely on their ideas instead of simultaneously having to transcribe them as well. Tutors might also need to be more direct when tutoring multilingual students. Though it is important to treat all tutees equally and not let assumptions made about a tutee, such as thinking a tutee must have a lower level of English skills because they are multilingual, dictate how the tutor treats a tutee, it is also important to read a situation and adjust to the kind of instruction a tutor is giving. Instead of asking open-minded questions to a tutee and expecting them to reach a certain conclusion, the tutor can simply explain a concept to avoid confusion. These strategies help the tutees develop confidence in their writing because the tutors took the time to ensure the tutees truly understand what was being talked about, breaking from the usual trend multilingual tutees faced wherein they were ignored and not heard. Therefore, in order to create a writing center that is truly helpful to multilingual students, it is important for tutors to be patient and understanding, relatable and personable, and to be accommodating to each unique tutoring situation. Writing center tutors strive to have a tutee leave the center feeling more comfortable, confident, and knowledgeable than when they first entered, regardless of their proficiency in English. With the incorporation of these changes and others, we can slowly work towards this goal, allowing all students to prosper in the writing center and beyond. I'd like to thank my advisor, Professor Lena Owedat, for her consistent support from when I began my own tutor training to now, where I am presenting my own research. I'd also like to thank the Conference in College Composition and Communication for allowing me to present my work. If you have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to email me at maahm001@goucher.edu. Thank you.